First of all, I'd like to ask you about what can we expect about the second season after everything that happened at the ending of the first one?
Madness. It's absolutely the craziest series you've ever seen. Everybody must watch. No, I'm kidding. But no, I'm not really kidding. So Emily, she's not wearing an apron and cooking brownies with like a white picket fence house, right? She's shaken up from that experience ultimately. And also Emily's never been sort of a kind of normal person. She's always been a little bit more punk rock and living on the fringe. So we see what it means for that character to come out of everything that she came out of, to learn what she did at the end of season 1. See, I'm not giving any spoilers away, see?
Yeah, it's perfect.
She's very much on the fringe, she's very much on the edge, and she's still trying to search for answers. One of the driving elements for this character is her relationship with her son, and she's trying to make sure that she's safe for him to be around, because she would want nothing more than to be able to have a good relationship with him down the line.
When she was liberated in the pilot, like she encountered that her husband had remarried, that her son didn't watch her like his mother.
Yes.
And so now are you going to try to win the family back, or she just moves on?
She's looking for a new normal. Her relationship with her son is very unconventional, and it has to be, ultimately. She missed out on him from his childhood, and now he's a young teenager, almost becoming a young man. So their sort of friendship and mother-son relationship is unique. And one of the things that came up in rehearsals, because I was asking Patrick Macaulay, who plays Flynn, I said, well, what do you think about this relationship? And he said, basically, in his words, he said, I'm little Batman and you're big Batman. And I loved that because there's like an edge, there's a twist to her, and her son has that same edge and that same twist because they're of the same bloodline. So there's a language that these two share that only these two could share, because there's a similarity ultimately. There's a bond that is unbreakable, that's there just because they are that mother and son.
And one of the most interesting things in the first season was that you play an anti-heroine.
Yeah.
So will that be the same in the second season, or you turn to a real heroine?
In the second season, we can never kind of run away from the fact that this character doesn't always do the right thing and doesn't always, let's say, play by the rules or act in a certain kind of concept of a moral compass. Things are a lot less black and white in this world. Everybody acts kind of gray.
And you are also an executive producer in the show, an active one. It's
Yes.
not just a title.
Yes.
So do you see this project as a long-term project, or do you see it more as a limited one?
I think that as a company of people, we have to make sure that we pay off everything that we've sort of set up. So I want us to make sure we tell a very satisfying sort of story. And I never want us as a company to overstay our welcome. I think sometimes stories stay a little longer than they should because of financial benefits. And I think in this case, we really kind of have to do that thing that the gentleman from The Wire did, which was he told the story and then he said, we're done.
And which conflicts would you like to explore in potential future seasons of the show?
Right now we're in dialogue on what a potential season 3 would look like. There's a group of writers that are taking a look at how season 2 is carried through. We've introduced a lot of new characters in season 2, not a lot, but a number of them. And some of what they add to the story, I think, is just really wonderful grist for the mill. So I think that there's a lot to branch off from. And I think also just our core cast has done such a beautiful job of paying off their individual arcs this season that when people are done with season 2, they'll be needing a few questions answered ultimately.
And with Absentia, you have experienced like the other side of TV that you experience in open TV. Now you can see what's streaming, what's paid TV in depth, being the lead and the executive producer. So what do you think is the key to a show's success, in your opinion?
Streaming TV feels like it's the benefit that a show gets is out of like a word of mouth, right? So if we're telling a compelling story, people find out. The internet is very powerful in that way, in that sort of a fan base develops and then other people start hearing about it and might be introduced to it. So I think this story is, because it's a psychological thriller, it's sort of, you know, it's creative and compelling and addictive in a different way, and the audience that it'll draw will likely come to it because they heard, you know, oh, my friend just watched this, I'm going to go and watch it now, that kind of thing.
And which mistakes from other projects as a producer, now that you are the producer, did you avoid in this one?
It was less about, let's say, I learned some mistakes in other projects. I think what it was I very subconsciously learned a lot about how to tell a good story. So I was able to be hopefully a helpful add to the group of producers in the editing process as well as in some of the development process, where it's a matter of making sure that all of our characters have a three-dimensional reality, making sure that there's an interesting arc for our core cast, making sure that the experience on set is fun and creative and that everyone's voice matters, and that we're of service to the story above and beyond everything else. And then in the editing process, you know, you look at it, because it's a psychological thriller, we have to make sure that it's propulsive, that the story has an engine, that it's high octane, which this season is that. It's quirky, but it's also like...
And there's a lot of action in Absentia, like you are saying, there's a mix of genres there, like thriller, action.
Yeah.
It's not that just going to the set and saying a few lines and that's it. You have to really push your body.
Yeah.
So how was the experience of doing such a demanding second season after what you experienced in the first one?
It was fun for me. I like doing action, and some of the other actors were doing action as well, so we would kind of laugh and we get to watch each other's, you know, scenes or rehearsals, and so we had a good time. The crew of actors that we had, and also the general crew around us, were really supportive of one another, and yeah, it was a really good time.